Hello, everyone, and welcome to this training on how to book a facility, which is a resource or a room at Bethel Atlanta using the Planning Center calendar app. The first thing you're going to want to do is request access to the Planning Center calendar app, and you can do that by emailing eddief@bethelatlanta.com. That's EDDIEF at bethelatlanta.com. Email me and let me know that you need access to the Planning Center calendar app. And if you need access using a different email than the one you're emailing me from, please specify that in the email. Otherwise, I'm just going to use the email that you emailed me from. Okay, so after you send me the email, I'm going to set you up with an account, and you will then receive an email that looks like this. As you can see, I've already done this a few times and I've had to re-record. So hopefully this is the one. Let's see, we're going to be using a test account for none other than Ron Swanson. So Ron here has requested access. I've given him access, and he has now received an email that tells him he's been given access and he needs to log in. Now, Ron has never logged into Planning Center before. He does not have a password. So if you do have a password, you can log in using your normal Planning Center login and you will have access to calendar. You don't need to do any of what I'm about to show you. Just do your normal login. If you've never logged into Planning Center before, you're going to want to select login here. You can select it normally. I'm going to right click and say open an incognito window. That way I don't have any of my saved passwords trying to fill in the blanks here. Okay, so it's automatically filled my email in. So I just hit send code and it's going to send me a code. The email you receive is going to look like this. Password reset has been initiated. This is an old one, so this is not my current code, but I just wanted to show you what the email actually looks like. Okay, so let me find the actual email here. 589814. Okay, hit continue and enter a new password. Make sure you select a strong password. Let's see, mine is okay. Password strength is just okay. Okay, so I've entered the same password twice, hit reset my password, and it should log me in. Yep, there we go. So I'm logged into the Planning Center calendar app. I can now see all the events on our calendar here. Okay, so if you have access to other Planning Center apps, you can switch between apps by selecting the upper left current application you're on has a little down arrow next to it. Just select anywhere up there and you'll see other apps shown up here. Ron Swanson just has access to the calendar app, so he will just see home and calendar. I could show you home really quick. Home, there's a little video if you want to watch that. It's just explaining what the dashboard is. The dashboard contains widgets. If you have different Planning Center Planning Center apps, there are different widgets associated with it. For example, we have an upcoming events widget, pending approvals, which Ron doesn't really need because he's not an approver of anything. So I'll say remove that widget because I don't need that. But upcoming events, that's a nice one to have. I can adjust some of the settings here. For this widget, so it only displays what I want to see. If I hit add widget, let's see. I don't really have many options because I only have access to calendar. So if you had access to services or check-ins or registrations or some other Planning Center app, you would see more widgets available. Okay, so that's a little brief rundown of home, but that's not what we're here for. So let's get back to calendar. Okay, on the calendar app here, we have the main events page, which is the main page you will be using if you're trying to reserve a space. We have rooms, resources, and people. So rooms, pretty self-explanatory. You'll be able to see all the rooms that are available. Now, Planning Center We have the rooms organized by building. So barn has its own folder. So if you select barn, all the rooms in the barn will be visible. To navigate back to the previous page, I'm going to select rooms here, this rooms link. Office is split up into first floor and second floor. So I can see the first floor rooms. If I go back, I can see second floor rooms. If I go back to rooms, I can see outdoor areas, and then lodge and center green is its own space. Resources. Resources in Planning Center are organized by where they are intended to be stored. So, for example, if I am reserving space in the barn, I'll want to look for barn resources. That way I don't have to go to the lodge or the office to get them. So I'll click barn, and we've got different locations that things are stored. So, for example, the goose closet, which is the closet in the goose room, there are 6 tables. So if I am reserving the goose room, I can get tables out of the goose closet, and just makes sense. Why would I go over to the lodge or the office to get tables when I've got tables available in the same room that I'm in? So hopefully you get the idea here. One thing I want to highlight that's really important is that the resources are returned to their intended location. That's important because when someone else reserves that resource, they're going to go to its intended location looking for it. And if it's not there, that's going to be a bummer for them. They've gone through the trouble of reserving it, and then they go to look for it and it's not there. So please return the resources back to their intended locations. It's not okay just to, after your event, just to put things where you think they make sense. Put them where they are intended to be stored. That way we're all on the same page and we all know where to go to get different things when we need them. Okay, so that's the resources page. People, there's nothing to do here unless you're an admin. So yeah, that's just everyone who has access to Planning Center calendar. We go back to events. So this is the page you will go to create a new event. So for our tutorial purposes here, we're going to go ahead and set up a barbecue on Friday, May 27th. So I can do a couple different things. I can just select new on the date, which makes sense to me. This is probably how I would do it. There's also this button up here that says new event. So you could select that, and then you'd have to, it's going to default to the current day. So you just have to open the calendar up here and select what day you want. Let me go back here. I'm just going to go to the day that I want the event to be and select new. Gives me the same page, but it's already set to the date that I want. So first thing you want to do is name your event. This will be Ron's Awesome Barbecue. Ron Swanson is the owner. If for some reason you're creating an event for someone else, which should only be done on very rare occasions, for the most part, everyone should just be creating events for themselves. But if you need to, you can change the event owner. Ron Swanson. So templates are useful because they pre-select all the rooms and resources depending on the template you select. For example, the office first floor template is going to give you all the rooms on the first floor and all the resources on the first floor. So I'm actually going to select that one. For my starting point, I can edit this on the next page, so it's good to become familiar with those templates because it saves a lot of time. This prevents you from having to individually select every single room and every single resource. So these can be big time savers. Okay, my date is correct, May 27th. My time, 1 p.m. is good, but I'm going to end at 3 p.m. Let's see, it's not an all-day event, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. And my event's not going to repeat. I'm going to show you the repeat options, though. They have preset options here. So if any of these fit what you need, go ahead and select that. Or you can do custom. And the customization options are pretty thorough. So you can set an event to recur every 2 weeks and then on certain days of the week. And then you can set when it ends or just never if you want to have an event recurring forever. With that being said, we are reviewing events on for the most part, on a quarterly basis. Sometimes as needed, they may need to be reviewed more frequently than quarterly, but at the very least, events will be reviewed on a quarterly basis. So chances are, if you were to leave this at never, it would be edited for just the quarter that you're in. That's important to keep in mind. Okay, so I need to go back here and select does not repeat. Next option is the campus. So make sure the Tyrone campus is selected. It defaults to no location. So make sure you select Tyrone campus. We'll give it an event. Actually, I'm just going to leave this blank for now. But if you want to give a description, you can give a description of your event here. If someone were to subscribe using an iCal feed, it would transfer over onto their calendar feed. This next option here, you can leave default as hide from Church Center. Church Center is Planning Center's app. We're not currently using it, but if we were and I selected publish, it would publish to the mobile app. I'm going to leave it at hide for now. The last item to select on this page are tags. So right now, the only required tag is event type. So the event type for this, we're going to say is a special event. In the future, it's very likely that there will be more tags required, but it's pretty self-explanatory. If the tag is required, it will show up just like event type showed up. You'll just have it, you'll have more listed here. Okay, so I've got all the options selected on this page, so I'll hit more options. And now I'm brought to this next page here where I can specify more details. Confirm my date here, confirm that I have Tyrone campus selected. If I decide later that I wanted to set a recurrence, you can also set up a recurrence here. That's just the repeat options. Schedule, so my event is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., but I am going to have some setup time. So I'm going to add 2 hours of setup time. Change this to 11 a.m. Okay, and so my setup time is now 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on May 27th, so that is correct. So I'll apply that. And as you can see, the overall time has now changed from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. because I'm arriving to set up at 11. And as of right now, I'm leaving at 3 p.m., but I'm going to add a teardown time, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. That should be good. So leave that for an hour. And now my overall time is 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. This overall time, this is the time that you have the spaces here reserved, the rooms and resources. So these icons here are telling you, this one here is telling you that this description and this time are going to show up on the shared calendar. And this is going to show up on a kiosk. We're not going to go over what kiosks are, but if you know what a kiosk is, it'll show up on the kiosk. These are not selected, so the setup and teardown time are not going to show up on the shared calendar. All that people are going to see is an event from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. However, you have the event or the space reserved from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that's what matters, okay? So don't be concerned if you look at your event on the calendar and you only see 1 to 3. As long as you included the setup and teardown time, you have the space reserved for that full overall time there. And I would encourage you to use that setup and teardown time. Yeah, it's important that you accurately reflect the time that you need the space for. So if you need to show up, 3 or 4 hours prior to your event because you have a very thorough setup, make sure you include it in that setup time. Alternatively, you can just have your published event from the setup time all the way to the teardown time. The only issue there is if this is published on some type of calendar where you're advertising it for people to come and be a part of your event, they may show up at the very beginning of setup. So just keep that in mind. If you want that to be the case, then by all means include everything in here. But if you want a specific team to show up for setup, you're going to want to utilize this setup and teardown time. Okay, you can also add more if you hit add custom time. If you want to further break your event up into different time-based sections, you're welcome to do that. Hitting that X will remove it. You have to have at least one, the published event time there, so that's why you give that lock there. Yeah, so that covers the schedule. Rooms and resources. As I said before, I selected the first floor office template. So I have all the first floor rooms that are bookable selected and the resources associated with those rooms. Now, I only need the Redwood room. So I'm going to delete, let's see, the Willow room, the Pine room, and the Maple room. Okay, so I'm just using the Redwood room. Now the other thing I need, because this is a barbecue, so I need an outdoor space, I need the center green, which is the area right between the office and the lodge, that little grassy area. Uh, Let me, there's a couple different ways you can find room. I can hit browse and I can find it through the folder structure. If you know the name of the room or location, you can also type it in. There we go, lodge and center green. And that's going to be the quickest way to do it. Navigating the folder structure, it can be helpful if you are not familiar with what you're looking for, but if you know the name of the room and you type it in, that's going to be your quickest way to find it. Now, I do need some chairs. The Redwood room doesn't really have any folding chairs associated with it. So I'm just going to go, let's see, I'm just going to look for a chair. Let's see what kind of chair options do I have. Fabric padded folding chair. Oh yeah, the lodge. Okay, so the lodge has fabric padded folding chairs and I'm booking the lodge. So I'll go and select that. And it's by default, it only gives me one chair. That's not going to be helpful. I have 40 available. I'm going to go ahead and just reserve all 40. There we go. So now I'm reserving 40 folded chairs. And I think that does it for my barbecue event. I've got restrooms in the lodge and the Redwood room here, and I've got chairs, and I've got the center green. So that's going to do it. And with that, I have entered everything I need to reserve rooms and resources. So save changes to this date. Gives me a final confirmation showing my schedule and everything I'm reserving. So let me hit create event. And boom, I have done it. However, that does not mean I have these spaces reserved. When I go back to my calendar, you can see here it's going to fade. There we go. So it's orange. Orange means it has not been approved. So the space is not approved for use until this changes to just a solid black text like the rest of these. So I can show you that. Let me go ahead and get that approval done here. And actually, I can show you what this looks like here. So here's from the admin side, this approvals tab shows up as Ron's Awesome Barbecue. It's requesting the lodge and center green, the Redwood room, and 40 fabric padded folding chairs. If it conflicted with anything, that conflict would show up here. It's not conflicting with anything, so it's pretty easy. Approve 3 items. Done. Let me go back to Ron Swanson's page, and as you can see, it just disappeared. Or the orange faded away, and now it is just black text, meaning it is approved, and Ron is set to have his awesome barbecue on May 27th. So that's it. There's the training on how to book rooms and resources in Planning Center. If you have any questions, email eddief@bethelatlanta.com, and I will get back to you with whatever you need help with. All right, thank you.